Happy Monday night, Eagles fans. Welcome to the Eagles Postgame Show presented by Rico. My name is Marisa Pilla, and I'm joined by Fran Duffy and Ike Reese. I know it's a late Monday night, so this surely will wake you up.
This never gets old. Victory! Woo!
11 days off. You were rearing to go with that one.
That felt good. That did. That felt good.
That felt a little pent up there, a little bit, Ike.
Well, I tell you, listen, we haven't watched this team. Fran just said it's been 11 days since we got a chance to watch the Eagles. And getting a chance to see them tonight on national TV, there's obviously things we can comb through, things they still need to work on. That's the good part about this team and this game and where they're at right now, that there's still room for improvement and areas to grow. But you go on the road, get a big win, and a night that was supposed to be a celebratory night for Tampa Bay and everything. You go on the road, get the win the way you're supposed to, take care of business. Eagles 3-0, on to the next game.
That's the thing, is you did it on both sides of the football, too. Once again, another great night running the football. I thought Jalen Hurts, yes, 2 interceptions, but he had a great play by the corner coming back from the backside and then a miscommunication on the other one. I thought Jalen looked as calm and decisive as he's looked all season long. The run game kept churning. And then defensively, they just swarmed Baker Mayfield. They forced him to a couple turnovers. The pressure was constant. The run defense was outstanding. So just a really well-rounded victory tonight for this Eagles football team.
And I would argue maybe the most convincing victory we've seen out of the first 3. This was the only Week 3 matchup of 2 2-0 teams. Now the Eagles get to leave Tampa Bay with a 3-0 record and starting their season 3-0 for the second time in a row. And to your point about Jalen Hurts, I know he had those 2 interceptions. And we were talking about this while we were watching the game. He looked so much more calm and less panicked. His decisive decision-making, to me, was the Jalen Hurts we saw last season. He looked calmer when seeing all these different pressures, and I think that speaks to the first 2 defensive opponents the Eagles have put this offense through the ringer, have put Jalen Hurts through the ringer, showing him all these really obscure schemes. How much do you think that has played a role in helping Hurts kind of get his feet underneath him this early on in the season?
I think it has definitely played a role. And this is the National Football League. You're going to have to update your resume, improve each and every week, each and every year. That's just how it goes in this league. And when you have the type of success the Eagles and Jalen Hurts had last year, you best believe they spent all offseason, I'm meaning the Eagles' opponents, trying to figure out how do you slow down this Eagles offense. When you can be as dangerous as the Eagles have the ability to be through the air or on the ground, whether it's with Jalen running the ball or DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell running the ball, it puts a defensive coordinator in a difficult position as to what do you want to take away. So the first 2 weeks, you saw a lot of junk defenses, a lot of things to try to confuse the Eagles as an offense. And what you saw tonight, I thought you saw a little bit better of what the Eagles wanted to do. They had answers for some of the things that Todd Bowles and his defense tried to do to confuse the Eagles defense. And although they didn't score 30-plus points tonight, at no point tonight did I feel like the Eagles offense was stopped, stymied, or anything else. They had some self-inflicted wounds, but for the most part, they marched up and down the field all night.
Yeah, you never felt at any point like, oh, you know what, like Tampa Bay, they're right there, right? Because the Eagles had control of this game throughout. And to Ike's point, you go back to 11 days ago, the Eagles taking on the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday Night Football. Brian Flores and all the different junk defenses, as Ike talked about. What exactly does he mean? Well, all these 3-man rushes where they show 8 guys up at the line of scrimmage or 7 or 6 guys at the line, and then they drop everybody out. There were 14 reps where they ran or they rushed with 3 defenders and dropped 8 in coverage. That is unheard of. You do not see that in the NFL. So the Vikings, they went with a very unique approach, and the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, they progressively had adjustments throughout the game. You saw them start to hit on some of those big plays downfield. Now you come into this game here against the Tampa Bay Bucs. Early on, we saw some of those 3-man rushes. We saw them drop 8 into coverage, and again, the Eagles were able to move the football. So they had answers for what Todd Bowles and the Bucs were presenting. I'm excited to go back into the film and really chart it. So we'll talk about it here moving forward on the rest of our podcast and the rest of our content here this week. But I was really impressed with the adjustments and the plan that the Eagles offense had going into this game against Todd Bowles. That's a big challenge.
And we talked about adjustments even last week against the Minnesota Vikings. They had to make in-game adjustments. It's one thing to adjust. It's another thing to execute those adjustments and get away with a win. So to be able to layer that and do that in real time, I think just shows that the Eagles are a team that just can never be counted out, because while the first 2 wins were, okay, we got the win, we can kind of move on sort of thing, it speaks volumes that they were able to do that in real time. And now, as you said, they had a little bit more time to prepare for what they were going to see. Heading into this game, after the Vikings game, Nick Sirianni said, how do we get better? We need to keep getting better. Where did you see the biggest growth from 2 to 3?
In the passing game. I mean, I think you saw growth in the passing game tonight. Jalen was able to go to multiple receivers. Olamide Zaccheaus, first touchdown for him as an Eagle. He wasn't a part of the offensive game plan 2 weeks ago. So the fact that they're able to hit guys like Zaccheaus, who's filling in for Quez Watkins, A.J. Brown, his best game of the season. Still didn't get him in the end zone yet, but he's getting closer and closer. But I thought he had a dominant performance tonight. Devontae didn't have as big of a game as far as numbers-wise, but he was certainly part of the passing game. And Dallas Goedert. I thought Dallas Goedert was a bigger part of the passing game tonight, and we were able to even get throws to some of our backs out of the backfield. So I say that to say the Eagles' offense looked more difficult to stop from a passing game standpoint, whereas the first 2 games of the season, it didn't seem like we had many options out there as far as where we wanted to go with the football. Tonight, it felt like Jalen used the entire repertoire that was available to him, and they still ran the ball. Everybody wanted to say, oh, we're running the football too much. This isn't a running league. Well, listen, when you do something very well in this league, you don't change that until somebody forces you to change it, and that's what you saw tonight. DeAndre Swift over 100 yards again running the football and adding Kenny Gainwell in there. He also put up good numbers tonight. So I thought they had the ability to move the ball through the air and on the ground, which is, I thought through the first 2 games, we've been pretty much one-dimensional, whether it was all pass or all run.
Yeah, Gainwell and Swift combined 30 carries, 173 yards. Swift himself, he went over 8 yards a carry tonight against the Bucs defense. They were number 1 in the league against the run entering this game. And he is shot out of a cannon. You see him hurdle the defender at the 3rd level. Just outstanding decisiveness and burst there on a number of those runs from DeAndre Swift. And that's one of the big adjustments I like a lot, Marisa, is that when you make that adjustment, say, you know what, hey, let's get to the run game, let's slow things down, let's really kind of get things going here offensively and be efficient with the football. It could be a little boring sometimes. Hey, let's go inside zone, let's go inside zone, let's go inside zone. It's like a boxer where you've got rib shot, and you want to go for the knockout blow. But if they're going to leave their chest open, keep going with those body blows. And that's exactly what this offense did.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the offense, but I want to give Sean Desai and his defensive staff a lot of credit for the way these guys played tonight. I thought this would be a game of which defenses can make the most plays and who's going to keep the other opposing team's offense out of the end zone when you get down to the red zone. And he got some of his players back tonight. Reed Blankenship, big interception right here. This guy is just a magnet to the football. And then the big guys up front. Watch how these guys are rallying to the football. And what I love about that play there from Jalen Carter is that he didn't just go up there to make the tackle. He went there with the intention of punching the football out, got the ball right back to the Eagles after they had just turned the ball over. I think the Eagles as a defense, look at this play. You stymie the Buccaneers offense at the line of scrimmage and you get a safety there. They played well on all 3 levels tonight. The defensive line, the linebackers flew to the football, and I like the way our secondary played. Even though we got a couple guys banged up tonight, guys had to come in and fill in. That's probably the only thing is that you want to try to get the injury bug off of you. But I thought tonight our defense played its best game of the season.
Especially in the secondary, I think, for sure, because that's always been a little bit of a moment for the Eagles, especially in week 2 when we had all those injuries in the secondary. It was kind of like, oh, geez, who's going to be – I'm fine with our defensive line. I mean, it's one of, if not the best in the league. But once they pass that level of protection, what happens then? And I think the secondary and the safeties, everybody really did such a good job of cutting off those deep plays, because that was Baker Mayfield's bread and butter heading into this, was him being able to look down the field, and the Eagles made him so uncomfortable. That was a huge key heading into this game, was don't let Baker trick you into thinking he's a really good quarterback. He's Baker Mayfield. We kind of know what to expect with him.
Make him prove it to you.
Exactly. Make me, show me who you really are, sort of thing. And we know you have questions at home, so don't be afraid to drop your question for Ask Ike, presented by Pond Hockey, and we will send it over to our man Ike, and he will answer them throughout today's game. And Ike, to your point about getting the receiving game going. This was the most yards they had receiving all season, 277 yards receiving. And I think what you said too about distributing the ball well, hitting different people in different looks. How much do you think that plays into Jalen Hurts just looking so much more calm and being able to see those things, because he had different rushes and people coming at him, and to see those little looks here and there, scrambling, finding people down the field?
Well, he's definitely more calm and comfortable back there in the pocket. And even when he's getting pressure around him, he doesn't seem as panicked or frantic as he may have seen in the first game of the season, right? When you're still trying to get used to live action, no preseason games. I thought he looked much more comfortable in the pocket, even when he had to scramble to extend plays. You take, for example, the Olamide Zaccheaus touchdown. I'm sitting here yelling, run, run, run. I mean, the offensive line did a great job of protecting him, and he sat back there in the pocket. He waited for somebody to get open, and he delivered a nice strike to Zaccheaus. So that lets me know that he's comfortable with his protection. That's the one thing a quarterback needs to feel. He needs to feel comfortable and secure that the guys around him are going to pick up the blitzers, the rushers, to where they're supposed to be. And that way he doesn't have to escape the pocket, so that he does feel comfortable. I thought he did a great job standing in there, and he went through his progressions, and he delivered the ball where it needed to be.
And that's the thing, that trust can go a number of different ways as well. You saw a quarterback on the other side who kind of lost trust in that offensive line in Baker Mayfield as the game went on. But I think when you look at Jalen, not only the trust in the O-line, but you go back to that Zaccheaus play, trust your guy to go make a play. He got rid of that ball so early. Zaccheaus was not open when Jalen Hurts let go of that football. He threw Olamide Zaccheaus open. He put it on the far side of the field, let him go up and get it. Also, just trust the scheme. I'm going to break this play down a little bit later in the show, guys, and I thought that he showed Jalen Hurts a great understanding of the route concept against the zone coverage. Where is my weakness here in the coverage on the back end? Let's get to Olamide Zaccheaus deep in the progression, because I know he's going to break open. So you got trust in the O-line, you got trust in the receivers, and trust in the system. I thought that was a great example of exactly what you're talking about.
And who wouldn't have trust in this offensive line? I mean, their athleticism is just undeniable at this point. But what to me really is so exciting is their ability to play with DeAndre Swift so well. What is it about the nuanced strengths of this offensive line that plays right into what DeAndre Swift does so well?
I believe they trust their scheme. They trust their technique. Jeff Stoutland, best offensive line coach in the National Football League. And you got two different styles of running when you're talking about DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell back there. You know, DeAndre Swift has that ability to make jump cuts. So he has the ability to bounce runs at times when he feels that's where the ball should go. So as an offensive lineman, you can't necessarily worry about that. You just have to block the assignment there. And they do a good job of trusting the assignments. They finish their blocks, and they allow the runners to basically just run off of them. If you see color here, then you take the run to the outside or you bounce it in the inside. I think the offensive line do a great job of not trying to do too much. They understand the scheme. They know where the runs are supposed to go, and they trust the running backs to hit the holes where they're supposed to be hit.
And that's the thing, is when you have the speed that DeAndre Swift has, I mean, when he sees that open, it goes back to trust, right? When he sees that open, trust that it's going to stay open and just go. He had that 29-yarder, the one where he hurdled the safety that we saw a little bit ago. And Marisa, you and I were watching, and we said, man, like, look at how fast he got to top speed. And then they showed the replay right after from the spider cam right behind him. And I could have parallel parked my SUV in that hole. Just an unbelievable job from the Eagles offensive line, understanding, hey, you know what? This is the weak spot. This is the weak spot in the front, right? This is where they don't have anybody in this B gap. Let's make sure we're getting our movement. You got good job on the backside from the double team. That created some space for Swift to go. He put his foot in the ground and he got north-south.
Well, it was very much the offensive line playing Moses tonight, parting that Red Sea.
Yeah.
I mean, as you said, those gaps were massive, and they were just able to have their way with Tampa Bay. Is this what you expected, or did you think that Tampa's defensive line would put up a little more of a fight?
I actually did think Tampa defense would put up a little bit more of a fight because they have a pretty good run defense. I like the linebackers that Tampa has, and Devin White and Levante David. They like to fly to the football. You're talking about Vita Vea up front. He is a space eater, so it's usually difficult to run in between the tackles. But you know what the Eagles said? Prove it to me. Prove it to me. We like what we have up front. And when you look at their interior part of their offensive line, Landon Dickerson before he got banged up, Jason Kelsey out there, and then you got the young fella in Cam Jurgens on the right side. They did a great job of getting movement. So whether it was getting just a little movement or you had to do these combo blocks to sort of make sure Vita doesn't win the line of scrimmage, they were able to do that. I mentioned about the runner backs being different styles of runner. I want to give DeAndre Swift a lot of credit because although he has that ability to be a shifty runner in sort of the Shady McCoy sort of fashion, he's been disciplined and not relying on that too much.
Yep.
This is an offensive line that if you go north and south, there are going to be lanes for you there to run, and he's trusting that. That's what you've seen last week against Minnesota, and tonight. You saw DeAndre Swift get downhill, get behind his pads, trust where the ball is supposed to hit, as opposed to trying to make a big run, and he allowed that to develop. So, yeah, you trust those big guys up front. They're going to move bodies for you, and even if you only get 3 or 4 yards, it's okay. Eventually, it's going to break.
Can I tell you what I love about both guys, too? We've seen 3 games now so far this season. Gainwell was obviously the workhorse in week 1, Swift last week, and then both guys essentially split carries tonight. Between those 3 games, 1 carry for negative yardage.
How about that?
But between all three games. That is outstanding from both Kenny Gainwell and from DeAndre Swift. Both guys up near the top of the league in terms of how often they've carried the ball, the explosive plays. 1 negative carry between those 3 games. That's outstanding for those 2 guys.
And I know you talked to Jeff Stoutland earlier this week previewing this game, and
Yep.
he talked about how the offensive line should be like synchronized swimmers. And I love that analogy
Yep.
because we saw that synchronicity today, that coordination between everybody, that trust. It all comes out in everybody knowing where you're supposed to be at the right time, doing the right thing. And guys, it's pretty thing to watch.
I'll tell you what, I'm glad you used the word synchronicity and I didn't have to. Because I don't think I've ever used that
You
word
nailed
in a
it,
sentence
yeah.
yet. But at least I heard you say it
Word of
first.
the day,
and then,
synchronicity.
Yes, I like that.
I think you should start the show next week with a synchronicity! just get it off that way.
Yes, we're in synchronicity.
We are, guys.
Like
we are rolling. And I think, so I was taking some notes at halftime because Tampa Bay, they entered this game 2-0, but we said they were more so pretenders than contenders. The first time tonight that Tampa Bay turned the ball over, they did it twice. They were kept out of the end zone in the first half. They were held scoreless in the first quarter for the first time. And they failed to get into opponent field position in the first quarter for the first time this season. Small sample size, it's only week 3. But why were the Eagles able to do that?
Defensive line. The Eagles' defensive line. I mean, we know that this organization loves to build from the inside out, right? And they start in the trenches. On the offensive side of the ball, it's the offensive line. That's the foundation over there. On the defensive side of the ball, it's the defensive line. That's the foundation of this team. And I still believe it's probably the deepest and probably the best unit overall on the team. Their youth movement up front, they have some savvy vets that can still hunt and get after a quarterback like Fletcher was doing tonight. But those young guys in the middle, there's no denying. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter make a huge difference in what any offense can do because they are so disruptive. I watched that play on the safety that the Eagles got. You watch Jordan Davis eat up 2 blocks. I mean, not only did he eat up 2 blocks, they couldn't move him. Like, he basically stuffed them at the line of scrimmage, and that allowed, I can't think of our linebacker.
Morrow.
Yeah, Morrow to jump through and make a big play there. So I love what our defensive line is doing. And anytime they go up against an offense where an offensive line may have some starters missing or what have you, you're in trouble. Like, you're in trouble. I thought that was the strength of our team last year. And although we lost some very good players, I think they replaced those guys with some guys that may have even a higher ceiling. I mean, Jalen Carter, my goodness, tonight the world got a chance to watch him play tonight. Man, I guarantee you he's going to be the talk of football, coming up here in a few weeks because he's wrecking everything.
And that's the thing is that you go into week 1 against New England. It's a rookie. It's his first game. A lot of the offensive line protections, they were sliding towards Fletcher Cox on a lot of those third downs. And Jalen Carter, he had a bunch of pressures in that game, was getting to quarterback Mac Jones throughout. And then you saw last week and you saw tonight, teams are switching up the way that they're sliding. It's going to be sometimes towards Fletcher, sometimes towards Carter. Sometimes both guys are still going to be able to win, like we saw in that sack. But that's what we've said in the last few years, Ike, right? About when you had Cox and Hargrave out there, you had to pick your poison as an offense. Are you going to slide to Hargrave or are you going to slide to Cox? One of those guys is going to get a one-on-one, The Eagles now, they maintain that now with both Carter and Cox on third down, and Jordan Davis continues to shine as well, getting after the quarterback as well as stopping the run.
Yeah, he's playing both the run and a pass.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan Davis.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think what everybody is thinking is going to be very groundbreaking. Jalen Carter's very good at football.
Yeah, he's got a shot to be good.
He's doing a very good job. You know, he knows where he's supposed to be, and he's playing heads-up football, too. He makes extra little efforts that I think are really impressive for a rookie. How do you make the case that maybe he's one of the best rookies that we've seen out of the Eagles recently?
Oh, I mean, I think it's very easy to make that case. You're looking at a player who's stepping right in from day one, whether he's a starter or not. He's an impactful player from day one. He was the talk coming out of training camp. Everybody was enamored with his size, his speed, how he can be disruptive on the line of scrimmage. Well, that has transferred from training camp to the regular season. And now he's going up against guys that are all Pro Bowl caliber players. And he's just a young rookie out of Georgia, 22 years old, and he's already receiving double teams. He's already receiving, when they do game planning and they have to put an X on the player that everybody has to know where he's at, he's starting to be in that category, and it's just the third game of the season. He's going to get better as the season goes along, as long as he continues to improve and keep working at the craft, because this is a league that's about technique. It's not just about raw talent. So eventually they'll get a book on what he likes to do and try to come up with a way to defend him. He's going to have a counter to that. But right now, man, I remember Corey Simon. Corey Simon came in his rookie year. I believe he had 9 sacks, 8 or 9 sacks his rookie
year.
I think so. I think his rookie year he had 8 or 9, and I think that might have been his highest as an Eagle.
Okay, yeah.
Was his rookie year.
I think so, yeah.
I think he may have had 9 sacks. Either way, he's like the last guy I remember from a defensive tackle standpoint,
right,
coming in and making the type of impact that he's having because of the talent that's around him. And so what happens is it allows for him to play in a one-on-one type of atmosphere, because you have to worry about the Hassan Reddicks, the Fletcher Cox, some of the other guys. Whereas when Corey was young, he had the Hugh Douglases, Hollis Thomases, those guys, and Corey could flourish. Doesn't take anything away from his talent. It just means it helps when you're going to a team that also has more talent around you, because now you're not the focal point of the defense.
It was 9.5 sacks. I just looked
it was
it up.
9.5 sacks rookie year, right?
Good memory, yeah.
I don't remember that. That is insane.
I don't remember a whole lot, but yeah, got that one.
Well, look, I mean, to me, 2 things off what you just said. Number one, you talked about Jalen Carter and the system he comes into. The play that he makes where he gets the strip on the fumble. How many times have we seen Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Josh Sweat, those guys chase a screen down or a quick throw down, and yeah, maybe they don't force the fumble, but they make that play in pursuit. That culture is already established in that D-line room. So you love seeing that from Jalen Carter, already kind of, working himself into that culture. The second thing, I think you're just talking about from like a scouting standpoint with Jalen Carter, is that this is a guy, if you could talk about baseball, a 5-tool player, right? Or a young guy coming up, a young pitcher where he throws, 105, on the radar gun, but he develops that changeup. He's got the changeup too, or he's got the curveball too. That's what Jalen Carter is right now. He's got that ability to win with speed. He can win with power. He can win with technique. He can win with effort. So you start checking all of these boxes, and a guy that has an understanding of when to pull that club out of his bag, right? So, hey, I'm going to win with speed off the ball. Oh, he blocked me with my speed. Now let me instantly convert to power and collapse the pocket and get to the quarterback, get into his lap, impact the throw. We've seen that time and time again from him. That's what's been most impressive to me, is just that this is a guy that has a natural feel for playing the position at such a young age with his talent level. The sky's the limit. You hope that he can continue to do everything right off the field, continue to improve, learn from all these vets. It's just going to be so much fun to watch him continue to develop.
And I think what's really fun to watch him play is not just himself, just the athleticism, the intelligence he has, and how he's able to read the game, but it's how Fletcher Cox can play off of him, and kind of the ignition that you see in Cox from how Jalen Carter plays. Someone who is such a seasoned vet through and through, a true professional, a true Eagle, and to have that kind of spark beside you as a rookie, I feel like it just raises your excitement level. Not that Fletcher Cox really needs it, but it just raises his level being ready, and because he knows that he doesn't maybe have to take the brunt of certain things. He can kind of come in and do more nuanced moves as they combine for that sack. And I think it's really interesting to have that kind of spark, that young, youthful spark, where you can trust him to do not just what he's assigned to do, but to go above and beyond.
You're so right. And especially about Fletcher being re-energized, right? What is he, in his 11th or 12th season? And sometimes you may not have the same level of excitement coming into the season as you would have had in your 5th or 6th year.
Yep.
But when he's lining up next to a guy like Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis, these guys do give him a little bit more energy. And Fletcher's a competitor. That also makes you want to do better as a player. So I think it's a great thing. They get a chance to learn from one of the best Eagles of all time. He's a veteran, a 6-, 7-time Pro Bowler, right? So, and then he gets that youthful energy from those guys. And it's not on game days because everybody's ready to go on game day. It's the practices. It's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices. When Fletcher is out there and he has those young guys lined up next to him, they get him going through practice. And I know Brandon has talked about that. That's one of the things that they love about the defensive line room, that there is that youth movement in there where you got a nice mixture of both.
Yeah, and then also just watching the way that Fletcher reacted after those big plays, looking right at Jalen and celebrating with them, right? So you kind of saw all those guys kind of come together. You get a sense of the energy in that room.
And we actually heard from Brandon Graham, too, in the locker room. So let's hear what he had to say.
Whew. Boy, that hit, oh, my goodness. I don't know, did he get 2 halves or did he get 1 half sack? Or
got a half.
Yeah, half. Oh, okay. Hey, I'm just proud of the guys. 90, Jordan, both of them. You can see that confidence. Like I told them boys, it should be a duo. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Fletch out there balling too. I was happy to see just the guys up the middle. The way we support each other. Man, it was a good game, man, and something that we can definitely keep building off of because it's a togetherness, man, that I'm starting to see that you can't. It can only happen while you play, and I'm just happy that we win it.
Woo! I think he speaks for everybody when we think of Jalen Carter and how he played today. You love hearing that. You just love hearing people get excited for one another, especially a young guy, especially someone who maybe was very much looked over in this draft for different reasons and fell to the Eagles. And I think all the teams who were sitting above the Eagles are kind of sitting there like, he's going to be a problem, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, you watch Jalen at Georgia, right? Georgia's a 2-time national champion, so it's not like these players are unfamiliar to us. We certainly heard of Jalen Carter coming out, but even I think I'm a little surprised that he's as good as he is as early as it is. And it just goes to show you that all the talk about his athleticism, the brute strength, and how, when he was at Georgia, it was like a man amongst boys being there. Like, it's true. Like, you see the raw ability there. You see the ability there. I think that's not something anybody questioned coming out. A little bit of maturity needed to be developed there, and I think he came to the right place in the right environment and the right culture that's going to allow that to develop, and we're going to get to see him reach his full potential as a player. And that's the beautiful thing. It's one thing to have potential as an athlete. It's another thing to reach that potential. That's the beautiful thing when a player actually reaches his potential or exceeds what you thought he could do. And I think that's the path that not only Jalen Carter, who is well-deserved of the praise that we heap upon him, I may be more impressed with what Jordan Davis has worked himself into being. Because this guy we thought was just a run stuffer last year. He's showing that he can play on third down as well. So he did a great job this offseason getting in shape and coming back a different player this year. And he's showing you what he can do.
I want to give some love. I was going to say I'll give some love to Nolan Smith as well, but I think we got a press conference to get to.
Yeah, let's head over to the podium and check in with head coach Sirianni.
I thought we played a really good game on the O-line, D-line. Being physical against a physical group, that's a good defense. That's a good offensive line, and so I just felt like we came away just really playing our game, and we want to be tough and together, and we definitely part of toughness is being physical, and that was what I felt like what really stood out to this game.
How do you feel Jalen performed despite some of the adversity?
Yeah, I thought obviously he's going to want those 2 interceptions back. I thought the guy made a really good play on the second interception. Just being on the same page on the first interception it's always about communication, being on the same page. But I thought he took completions that were being given to him. spread the ball around. AJ had a really good game. Dallas, I thought, made some really key catches. Devontae had some big catches. And so I thought he did a good job of managing the game and playing a good game. Like I said, was he going to want? We can't turn the ball over. He'll want those back. But other than that, I thought it was really good. Welcome back. We always are trying to get AJ involved. I mean, we're trying to get all those guys going, and it's not like, I know sometimes it might appear that way, but we're taking what they give us. We have an idea what they're going to do going into it, but then we're going to take what they give us in certain situations. They were giving us some one-on-ones on the outside to AJ, so we took that, and so. It was a check by Jalen and Brian. I thought Brian did a good job on the second play of the game, getting to the check that sprung AJ. That ball wasn't going to AJ, and then it went to him because we checked out of it. And then he had the next one that gave us a certain coverage that was able to get it as well. So we're always going to want to get AJ involved. It just so happened that he had the first couple catches of the game, 44 yards, I think it was, on the first drive, and he kept rolling from there.
You guys have, I think, 6 takeaways and a safety now in the last 2 games. Did you expect this defense to be this dynamic this quickly, given your injuries, your turnover, and the fact that you have a new defensive coordinator?
I really had a lot of confidence in our defense, and we hired Sean because we had a lot of confidence in him, and he's done a nice job. I think what we're really doing well is playing with good fundamentals. And that will, playing physical. And those will take you through no matter what level of football you are. Playing physical and playing with good fundamentals will take you through Pee Wee football. They'll take you through, middle school football, high school football, college football, professional football. I think we're doing a nice job tackling. I think they're doing a really good job. And that's fundamentals, and the coaches and the players have worked hard after each practice, the time they've put into those fundamentals. We had a basketball coach up, to watch our practice in the offseason. He kept talking about how they would take, his players would take 500 shots after each practice. And we thought about it, like, are we doing 500 shots worth of fundamentals that we need to do? And it really made us think, like, man, at the end of the day, it's about catching it. It's about throwing it. It's about taking care of the football. It's about taking away the football. It's about tackling. It's about blocking. It's about getting off blocks. Those are the key fundamentals to playing football. And our guys really bought into that. And our guys really did a good job of putting that extra work. Have done a good job of putting that extra work in. And that's going to continue to take us through the season. We're going to have to continue to really buckle down and do that. So that's where I really feel like the physicality and the fundamentals are really showing, and Sean's doing a great job with the defense.
You're outgaining your opponents by I think it's over 400 yards on the season. And obviously the passing offense hasn't really taken off yet, but how much of a luxury is it that you can sort of always fall back on you're playing in the trenches?
I know, I just when you're running it and you're up big like we were, I just think it's unfair to say that the passing offense hasn't taken. We were up, and we're going to be running the football. And so the game, it's easy to look at the box score at the end of the game, and it's easy to look at the box score, where we are in the season right now, and say, well, yeah, the pass offense. Well, in these last couple games, we haven't. In these last 2 games, we've been up, and that game the flow of the game changes when you are that way. And so, I think we've done. Have we been hitting a bunch of explosives? I don't know. I'll have to look at the explosives from today, but I think we're a balanced offense right now that was able to get a lead tonight and then lean on the run game. I mean, shoot, at the end of that game, for 9 minutes on our last drive, we hold the football, and we threw it twice or 3 times in that. Your numbers are going to get skewed that way, but we'll not apologize for any of that. We're going to do whatever we need to do to win the football game. And like I said, offensive line's playing great. I think we've been having some really good performances in the pass game as well. It's just the way the flow of the game goes sometimes that can sway the numbers a little bit.
You were talking about throwing the mini by, and you and Sean were talking about how to move forward in the slot. What gave you guys confidence that Sidney could get involved?
The type of player he is, why we took him, where we took him, how he's done a great job of just getting talent in here, and we have confidence in him, and from practice, right? But he then also, confidence from the games that he's played, and sometimes that confidence is built through special teams, right? How many times have you seen a guy in the NFL make his way early on in his career in special teams and then take off, after that when he gets himself an opportunity? So obviously practice is what gives us our confidence in Sidney, and things that he's done in practice, but then him making plays in preseason games and him making plays on special teams when the lights are on, gives us a lot of confidence. And we'll have confidence in him and whoever James and Mario moving forward.
Yeah, one more. We got Swift outside.
I got you. I'll come back to you.
Most about DeAndre Swift.
I got you.
What's impressed you most about DeAndre Swift and what he's contributed makes him the right kind of back for your system?
Super elusive. We know how good he can be catching the football too. It's just the way the flow of the game's been, where we haven't needed that yet. But he's a weapon to catch the football as well and make plays. We got a little screen to him today. I thought was a good play and a good play by our offensive line. But he's elusive. He's explosive. He's tough. He's really had a nice start to this season.
Regarding that
I got you.
9-minute drive to end the game against a good defense that knows you're going to run the ball, what does that say about the O-line's ability to really enforce your will?
Yeah, we know how since for a long time here, even this Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, we've been able to lean on. From all my 3 years before that, it's a special group of guys. Headlined by Jason and Lane, who've been here for 13 and 11 years. I mean, that's unheard of. And then Stout does a great job of getting the guys ready. Landon has played outstanding for 3 years, 2.5 years. Jordan, Cam's done a nice job, so they've developed into being really good football players, ready to step in. And I can't say enough, again, of how he does, how good of a job he does of bringing depth in there, and understanding how important that is to winning football games. Again, going back to no matter what level you're at, it comes down to how you play O-line, D-line. And so, man, I appreciate you asking me that question, because I'm able to brag on these guys because they're awesome, and they come off the field, they want to run it, it just gives you so much confidence that you can do that when they're coming off the field and just saying, let's go again, let's go again, let's go again. And Lane, man, seeing Lane come off the field and saying that to me, that gives you a lot of confidence. Howard, go ahead.
Howard, we got Swift waiting.
Nick, this is an explosive offense. And I'm asking this off that question earlier. And I'm trying to figure out how close you think you are to this offense being an explosive offense, the one that we all know existed and
it's a growth process, right? We're not a final product yet. No one. Let me rephrase that. Everybody wants us to be a final product now, but it's a growth. You want to grow every day, and so we're not going to be playing our best football until we get going into the season. We still got things to work on. We still got growth to do. If you're truly in the mindset of getting better every day, right? If you're truly in that mindset of getting better every day, which I know that we are on this team, you're going to continue to rise, and you're going to keep getting better. And so, are we playing our best offensive football right now? No, but we shouldn't be. We shouldn't be yet, and it's a growth, and so all the teams are growing. No one's playing the best football that they should be playing right now, and so I'm pleased with where we are. I don't know how many yards we had today, but when you 473 and then 450 last week, I mean that's a lot of yards on offense. And I got a lot of respect for the last 3 defenses we've played. And we're going to have another challenge this week with another really good defense with good guys up front. There's not a better defensive coordinator in the NFL than Todd Bowles. He's top notch. And so I'm really pleased coming out of here doing what we did. Again, just great job by our guys, great job by Brian Johnson, and we'll keep growing.
All right. Swift is here.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. weeks in a row over 100 yards. Were there any differences between last week and this week?
Any differences? We just try to execute the game plan week in and week out. The opportunities was there today. O-line did a great job again. They make my job easy.
What is it like running behind that group?
It's great. It's great. Like I said, they make it easy. Just going through my keys, pre-snap, and then just trusting my eyes. They make it easy, though.
How did you feel coming into this week after touching it so much last week? And does it help you get into a groove?
Yeah, you could say that. I feel good, though. I feel good.
You didn't carry the ball, I don't think, any in the fourth quarter. Was that kind of by design to kind of keep you a little bit fresher for a short week going into against Washington?
I'm not sure. My number just wasn't called. I was ready if it was to be called, though.
Would you like to be called?
We got the win. I'm good.
What were your expectations coming to Philadelphia after the trade, and what's the reality been compared to that?
Expectations. I didn't know what the expectation was going to be, to be honest with you. I just made my mind up that I was going to come in the building every day and work. That's the mindset still. Going there tomorrow and work day in and day out. Get ready for the next opponent.
When we did talk to you when you first came, obviously you had a good offensive line in Detroit.
Yeah.
You have a good offensive line here. Is it better than you thought when you looked at it on paper and said, I'm coming to a pretty good situation?
I feel like it's a great situation all around. But like you said, tremendous O-line back in Detroit. They still my guys over there. But it's a great situation all around.
What does it mean for you to be 3-0 at this point? I don't think you've ever been 3-0 since you
It's good. It's hard to win in this league. So we want to go 1-0 every week. Against a team like that and a defense like that, it's about improving each week.
You guys only had 75 rushing yards at the half. What was the conversation like at halftime, just talking about trying to get the ground game going again?
Just stick to what we do. We knew it was gonna come down to the run game to finish the game off. I feel like we did a great job of that at the end.
What did you see on your 29-yard run on 2nd and 1 in the first quarter, or sorry, excuse me, the third quarter?
I think I should have kept running. I got to see the film. Tried to cut back. I should have just kept running. It was great, though. Like I said, O-line did what they had to do. I hit it and tried to make the most of it.
Could you speak to how you guys approached the challenge that Tampa Bay presented as one of the premier run defenses in football, and you guys feeling like it could come down to that in your performance against them?
I feel like that's how we feel each week. But definitely going against Tampa Bay, we knew they was pretty high in run defense, stopping it. But I feel like we did a good job sticking to our game plan and executing.
Olamide had his first 2 catches as an Eagle, including a touchdown. What has it been like just to get to share this experience coming back here with him?
It's amazing. Playing with a guy, played with in high school, guy I looked up to in high school. See him get his first touchdown. I wanted to be the first one over there to celebrate with him.
Take 2 more. Got him. Good? Awesome.
Thank you.
Always good to hear from DeAndre Swift, as well as head coach Nick Sirianni. And Nick Sirianni said something really interesting to me. He said, you don't want to be playing your best offense in September, and they're not playing right now. And I think it's an important point to make because it's kind of like if you're a team who's playing your best offense in September, you're the kid who peaked in high school. Like, let's put it that way. So it's kind of a good position for them to be in. Still room to grow, but you're still picking up wins. What's the next level of this Eagles offense you want to be seeing?
Consistency, right? That's what you want. You want consistency. You get down in the red zone, you want to be scoring touchdowns as opposed to kicking field goals. You know, and that's one of the things they were one of the best teams last year doing that. And I don't want people to misunderstand where Coach Sirianni is coming from when he says you don't want to be playing your best football. I thought you explained it pretty good, but at the same time, you know, people will hear that and say, well, why wouldn't you want to be playing better football right now? Well, because quite frankly, you still have 15 weeks left to go in the season. And so you still have room to grow. You still have room to improve. And when this team gets to week 8, 9, and 10, that's when you want to start to hit your stride. That's when you get into the meat of the schedule. That's when these teams really start to show who they are. So I think it's a positive that they are still finding ways to win. while knowing that they still have areas to improve upon.
And it's always important to really try to make those tweaks as you go as well, right? You want to try different things. You want to come out and say, hey, you know what? This is what we do. This is what we're going to do, and that's it. And be super rigid with it because guess what? Teams are going to try and take it away, and you have to have a counterpunch.
Let's hear from QB1, Jalen Hurts, as he heads to the podium.
Jalen, there have been a report that you were dealing with some flu-like symptoms. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
And did that affect you, and how did you deal with it throughout the game?
We won.
When you look back at your performance, I know we talked a lot about, winning versus the standard last week. You guys keep winning football games. Offensively, are you happy with where things are?
I think whether we win or lose, I don't think I'll ever be satisfied. That's always the mentality. And so there's an eagerness always, win, lose, or draw, to get better.
What did it take for you to be able to push through what you pushed through?
Just us executing. It's not the first game where I've dealt with this, and I've had to play with something like this. And it always happens on Monday night for whatever reason. But, yeah.
You got Olamide involved. Sort of those two plays you extended on the same drive and you finished with that touchdown. How important is it for you to get him involved with this?
Yeah, I think, it looks different from week to week, and I think as we continue to strive for our best, to be our best self, and we just continue to learn, different guys will get involved in different ways, and different guys will have different roles. And so he did a great job of stepping up and making a play in a crucial moment of the game. And then obviously having another opportunity then the next drive, I believe, to do that, and I end up throwing a pick. So many things like that. And so there's a lot to clean up, obviously, but we'll definitely enjoy the win.
The symptoms you experienced, and whether there was any question about whether you'd be able to play well enough tonight to deliver a win?
We won. Again, I'm just happy we made it through.
Touchdown pass to Olamide, you stood in there, took a big hit. What stood out to you as you look back at that play?
I have to get to the film, but obviously he was able to make a big time grab, and I just think, again, it was a crucial moment in the game where we needed to make a play, really need to make a play, and we made one.
What happened on the interceptions?
Dude, I'm not gonna be that guy.
It looked like the miscommunication on the first one.
Yeah, I think you summed it up. Miscommunication, not on the same page there. And then, I just tried to give him a chance on the second one. And DB made a great play. They happen.
What is the significance of coming back to this stadium after the playoff loss a couple of years?
Yeah, I think, it's a feeling I hadn't forgot. And, things have gone very well ever since.
Can you describe what kind of impact DeAndre Swift has made in the offense?
He's been a big time player for us, and see him jumping over guys. I don't know if I've seen that in a long time, but he's kind of marking his territory, I feel like, with that, and he's pushing everybody else around him. So we just need him to keep playing great ball.
How beneficial is it to a triple threat quarterback when you can just hand it off to the quarterback, and especially when you're not feeling 100%?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of team sports. I think you heard me say time and time again, no man is an island. You draw your strength from others, and obviously everybody had each other's backs tonight, and we found a way to win. Defense played a hell of a game, under 200 total yards of offense, turning the ball over, and that's team football. And I think for us, we just have to take advantage of opportunities when they give those turnovers and finish in the red zone. That'll be big moving forward.
Jay, what can you say about the offensive line's effort, both in run and pass possession?
Yeah, I think they did a really great job, and
look, obviously that's a guy that we played in the past, and he's had some success against us in the past, and he did a lot of similar things, and we handled them well. Obviously, some turnovers there on my behalf, but other than that, I think we did a really good job of executing. And I think the reality is, when you look at it and you watch the tape, which I'm eager to do, you look at things that are self-inflicting, and those are the things that we can control. And so we got to do a better job of controlling the things that we can. But you got 3 wins down, and so we're gonna continue to build off of that. We're gonna continue to build as a team, hold each other accountable, grow, and learn. That's the name of the game. I think for me, I've sat here and I've said, after wins and after great wins and after some tough losses, the motto is getting better and keeping the main thing, and that's what we'll continue to do.
You mentioned the defense. You saw these guys all summer. I'm sure you knew the questions about this defense going into the year. What stands out to you about the way they played tonight?
Well, I just think, man, everything starts with the big guys up front, and then you get different guys rotating in different positions in the back end. You get linebackers moving pieces there. Obviously not having one of the leaders of the defense, Nakobe Dean, out there. But everybody playing at a high level and dominating their box. So we just need them to continue to play well.
Jordan Mailata said that one of the reasons why you were so protected in the pocket tonight was because you and Jason did a very good job of picking up on the blitzes, especially early on. Was that something you guys were expecting, or was that something that you prepared for, or was it just something you just kind of
absolutely. I think that's something that Todd Bowles is known for, and he does a great job with. And I think I think the last time we played him, I didn't do a great job of truly being patient in the pocket, and so I feel like that was something that I took a step in tonight, and with those steps you take forward, you want to learn from everything, and so learning from that and continue to build on that, and continue to learn from the mistakes that were made today, and so that's the main thing moving forward. I'll sit here and say till my time is done. Keep the main thing, move forward, and continue to grow and soak up as much as I can. And with each experience is a new tool and a new page of knowledge that you can learn from. So it's all good.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Always good to hear from Jalen Hurts. However many words he chooses to use at the beginning of this press conferences, he and the Philadelphia Eagles had 277 yards receiving in this game. And Fran actually broke down one of the best receiving plays of the whole game. It was Olamide Zaccheaus' touchdown, his first touchdown as a Philadelphia Eagle. Take a look at this in the Rico review.
All right, so for this week's Rico review, I want to take a look back at the 34-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Hurts to Olamide Zaccheaus, Olamide's first touchdown here in Eagles green. Now, there's a lot to break down, a lot to chew on here from this play. Thankfully, we got the all-22 angle to take a look at. Now, the Bucs here, you're going to see them playing in off-zone coverage. You've got what looks to be a single high look before the snap, but it's actually disguised. This is going to be a form of split safety coverage. It's called quarter, half, or cover 6, where you're going to get quarters to this side, so you're going to get the safety rotate this way. You're going to get the other safety. He's going to rotate to this quarter of the field, and he's got that entire half. And then you've got a cover 2 corner right in the face of A.J. Brown. So they're basically shadowing coverage over to A.J. Brown's side to prevent from any deep shot on 3rd and 10. Now, the Eagles are anticipating this is going to be some kind of zone coverage from Todd Bowles on this play. So against zone coverage, one thing you like to do, you want to flood the zone. You want to send more receivers than they've got defenders on any one part of the field. So here's what they do. You're going to send A.J. Brown on a post route. So they were smart, Tampa Bay, in trying to shadow coverage to his side of the field. You're going to get Devontae Smith running an in-breaker, and you're going to get Dallas Goedert, who's coming in short motion, and he's going to come to the shallow part. So you've got all 3 levels of the field attacked here by the Eagles at all 3. Again, you've got A.J. deep, you've got Devontae running intermediate, and you've got Dallas short. They only have 2 defenders on that side. So you're able to try and stretch that out vertically. We're going to let this run for a sec, and I want you to see exactly what Jalen Hurts is looking at, because he sees that, you know what? This linebacker's feeling it. I want to try and get to my backside dig. He knows he's got Olamide Zaccheaus here on the backside. The safety is taking away AJ. You've got these guys taking away the intermediate route to Devontae Smith. This corner, he's doing a nice job getting depth to the stick, so he's taking away this throw. That's not going to be there for Jalen Hurts on this play. He doesn't want to settle for the check down to Dallas Goedert. He knows he's got Zaccheaus on the backside of this three-man concept, but he has to try and see if he can float it in with all these defenders. So we're going to let this roll for a second. Troy Aikman's going to take over for the telestration, and you're going to, again, look at where Olamide Zaccheaus is. He's got to throw him open. This is a great anticipation throw from Jalen Hurts on 3rd and 10. He layers it up over the corner on the backside underneath the safety. He hits Zaccheaus on the run for a 34-yard touchdown strike. The Eagles get their first touchdown of the game. Big time throw there from Jalen Hurts on 3rd and long to get into the end zone.
So that was one of the best plays of the game, but now is your chance to vote for the Toyota Player of the Week. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Toyota Player of the Week to cast your vote and get a chance at a brand new Toyota. There were a lot of options. We had to dwindle it down to 3. Here are your first options. A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 131 yards. 28 yards was his longest one. Then Jalen Carter. I mean, we talked about Jalen Carter so much tonight. His first career forced fumble. So athletic, reads the game so well. And then DeAndre Swift had himself a night again. 16 carries, 130 yards. This is the second time in his career he has had back-to-back 100-yard games. So I know this is tough. I know you guys were going to say, let the highlights speak to you. What did the highlights say?
That was 3 players had a pretty good game. Yeah, that's what the highlights said to me. I'm going to go with A.J. Brown tonight.
Oh.
I'm going to go with A.J. Brown tonight.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I'm going to go with A.J. We already know about last week or what have you, but the way that they came back this week, and he certainly was the big play guy through the air tonight. So 9 receptions, run after the catch. Wish we would have got him in the end zone tonight, but I thought he did a great job catching the ball.
Let's go back to back for me. I'm going to go with the Swifties. Sorry, let's go with DeAndre Swift. Over 8 yards a carry. He goes over 100 for the second time in a row, as Marisa pointed to earlier. I'm going to go DeAndre Swift. Back-to-back performances here.
Did you say Swifties?
It's thematic.
It's
right?
been a lot of that talk over the last few days.
Now, Ike, you're not a Swiftie? That surprises me.
I didn't even know what a Swiftie was about a month ago. So, yeah, at least I do know what a Swiftie is now.
So you've had a month now to explore
I'll
the
say
Swiftie
this.
fandom.
I'm closer to being a Swiftie with DeAndre than I am with Taylor.
Okay.
Got it. I think that's
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I'm on the same page. We're on the same boat.
fair. We don't have to talk about it because it's been everywhere and anywhere. Everyone is talking about it. So.
Synchronicity on this desk.
Synchronicity. Word of the day. Now, you didn't ask me who my player is, but I'm going to go a little off the cuff. I'm going to go with the visiting fans who used their hard-earned money, got themselves on a plane, went down to Tampa Bay, and made up, I think I saw 59% of the fans there at Raymond James Stadium were Eagles fans. Nick Sirianni is all over Twitter getting into the stands, thanking the fans for being there. Lane Johnson tweeted, "You guys made it feel like a home game." And it's just like, you know what? I know Eagles fans, listen, I was born into this. I didn't have a choice. I love being an Eagles fan. And we catch a lot of flack from around the league, but I will never, ever doubt the commitment our fans have to this team to follow them to the depths of anywhere, including the crazy humidity that is South Florida in September.
They had a player getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. We don't need to talk about the player who got inducted, but they had a player. They celebrated that player tonight. Yes. Could you imagine in Philadelphia if a player is getting put into the Hall of Fame and we let the majority of the fans in the stadium be the opposing team's fans? Shout out to Jimmy Kempski, by the way, for that stat on the attendance. The Eagles fans, I agree with you.
Yeah, John Clark also had some great tweets out there depicting actually how much green was in the stadium, and it's just a beautiful sight. We love to see it.
Famously said by one of the Eagles greats, "We're from Philly. No one likes us. We don't care."
Right.
Yeah. We live by that motto. Love it.
I think nothing has rung truer in my life than hearing those words being uttered. But now it's time for our Jameson Nightcap. Take a look at the road ahead because it's a shorter road than normal. Taking on the Washington Commanders at home. It's the first divisional game of the season, hosting the Washington Commanders on Sunday. It's also the first 1 p.m. kick for the Eagles this season, too. Washington is 2-1, third in the NFC East, but look at that scoreline to the Bills, 37-3. Sam Howell had 4 interceptions. What can the Eagles take away from that they can try to apply in their own way on Sunday?
Well, I would say don't be fooled by that score and Washington losing 37-3. They won their first 2 games. They certainly have put up a fight through the earlier weeks. I think it just snowballed on them yesterday against Buffalo. The turnovers caught up with them. Sam Howell was trying to do a little bit too much. But let's not forget the last time we played Washington, we lost. And we were an undefeated team at the time. So, and I hope the Eagles remember that. I hope the players remember that. That way they have the proper respect for your opponent when they come in, regardless of what happened the week before. We owe Washington a little bit of payback. So it's no question as to who's the better team, but we have to prove it on Sunday.
And Brian Robinson, the running back, he is running the ball very, very hard. He's one of the leaders in the NFL and basically like every yards after contact metric so far through 3 games. And Sam Howell, 4 picks yesterday, 9 sacks. But the first 2 games, this guy was balling. He made some big-time throws, under pressure, on the money, down the field. So I think you cannot take this team lightly. Defensively, they've got a lot of talent, so it'll be a big matchup here. First of 3 1:00 games on the season.
Yeah.
3.
Got Chase Young back.
Chase Young back healthy. He's making an impact. Deron Payne is playing lights out right now. That's a good defense.
Washington has some good skill position guys. If the quarterback doesn't sort of lose the game for them, they really just want to stay in the game and try to win it in the fourth quarter. Eric Bieniemy, their new offensive coordinator, so.
Yeah, and you can never count out a divisional matchup. I mean, these
right.
are the type of games that you can never just say, oh, it's an easy win, let's circle and move on. And you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you do that one play at a time. So we will see if the Eagles can do that this Sunday afternoon at home at the Link. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fans just biting at the chomp to get into the Link as early as possible. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I know it was a late one on a Monday night, but the Eagles go on to win 25-11 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. For Ike and Fran, I'm Marisa Pilla. Thank you so much for watching.